What's up everyone, Trent here. Welcome to the Fortress Comics Vault, our brand new series where we are going to be talking about the week's comic books that come out. And what better time to start than with this milestone issue, Detective Comics issue 1000, celebrating 80 years of the Dark Knight himself, Batman, with a 96 page issue with 11 different stories in it, each of varying quality. So let's break down this issue, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. Luckily, there is not much ugly. If you want to talk to us on our handles at Fortress Nerds on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Basically, this issue is kind of acting as a standalone and a setup for Detective 1001, 2, 3, 4. I actually thought it was going to be culminating after the countdown to issue 1000, but that wrapped up nicely in issue 999, and this basically tells a lot of short stories that, whilst the majority of them good, some are quite bad. And what makes this differ from other anniversary oversized issues is that this book actually doesn't have the initial story in the front. Normally with an oversized issues, they have like the first half of the book, setting up the future story arc or closing a story arc. This is not the case here. Instead, it's at the very, very end of the book where we get a couple of pages to set up the story and introduces the new bad guy from the video game, the Arkham Knight. This was surprising, and it didn't last very long, which is really interesting. What they did with this issue was the 11 short stories are exactly that. They're short stories that tell tales. So whilst I was disappointed we didn't get more of like the in-continuity kind of story to set up this future story arc, I did enjoy a lot of these tales, and they went for about 6 or 7 pages each, some of them, and my god, some of the teams are fantastic. Starting off, as you open up, with the team of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo in a tale where Bruce is going around and solving all of these mysteries, picking up clues that has taken years, and leads to quite a fun revelation that I wish was actually in continuity. I still hope it might be. He meets this detective squad. So if you've seen the Batman vs. Scooby-Doo movie that's recently come out, it's kind of along the lines of that. There's a league of detectives. So a really fun story. Capullo's art is hit and miss. Like the very first panel with Batman, it's quite a weird figure, but it picks up as it goes on. Some really good inking, and if you're a fan of Snyder and Capullo's run of Batman in the New 52, and you'll love this. So a really good story. Once again, showing off his art, really good, really clear. The facial expressions kind of leave a little bit to desired, but overall fantastic. And the second story is my favorite, and they did the credits at the end of this little short story, and I knew straight away it was Jim Lee on art, so Alex Sinclair and Scott Williams on inks and colors. I had to try and guess really hard who the writer was, and sure enough, it's none other than Kevin Smith. So naturally, this is my favorite tale. Jim Lee's artwork, whilst he has kind of taken a step back and he's not as sharp as he used to be, it is phenomenal, and he's on point here. He's clearly taken a lot of time and care with the story, and we've got classic Harley as well, which is always good, reminiscent of his Hush storyline. So this is a really good tale about Bruce acting as Matches Malone, where he goes to the gift shop for, you know, paraphernalia that's been lost in villainhood in battles with Batman, and he finds the gun that was used to kill his parents. It's a really heartwarming tale. All the panels show different villains of Bruce fighting, and it matches the story. They use little keywords like he was scarred for life and he's fighting Victor Zsasz, or there's clowning around and dealing with clowns, and it's obviously Harley and Joker. Anyone else would lose his head and he's going up against the Scarecrow. So all these kind of little play on words, and that's really where Kevin Smith shone. So that was probably my favorite story of the entire thing. We get another really good story that is written by Paul Dini, and it is called The Legend of Newt Brody, or Knut Brody. Who knows? He's a grunt, and it tells kind of like an almost got him from the Batman animated series and the man who killed Batman, Sid the Squid. It's kind of like that story where this grunt has actually been killed or rumored to have been killed by all these henchmen, and there's a really funny payoff, and it goes against how the Penguin kills him, Riddler kills him, Harley kills him, and Ivy thinks he's killed him, and it's a really fun payoff that kind of plays on the Matches Malone character as well. So yeah, some really, really good tales. That was written by Paul Dini. Once again, strong work. He understands how to write every character so well. Some really great art on display there. The artist in that was Dustin Nguyen. And the weakest story for me, well, we got Warren Ellis in here as well, so fantastic. The weakest story for me was probably the Return to Crime Alley. It looks so good art-wise. Visually, it is fantastic. Steve Epting on art, but the story by Denny O'Neil, the way Leslie Tompkins was written, I know she cares about a lot of things. I know she cares about underprivileged kids and all that, but the way she kind of treated Bruce in this story, it put me off. But the art was phenomenal. Like, that's just heavily inked, beautiful colors, really thick, sets the mood for showing just how desolate and terrible Crime Alley is. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. It had Neal Adams and Christopher Priest on The Heretic, where it's Bruce who's going around and trying to find a student of the former League of Assassins and why he's been murdered. Neal Adams' art, it is going down a peg, but it is still fantastic. When he nails it, he nails it. But yeah, just some really weird facial expressions there. I mean, the guy's like 75, so you got to forgive him for that, because he still does some hyper detailed. I'll try and find a decent. Like, he still does some really hyper detailed panels, but yeah, he was not on his full game there with Dave Stewart on colouring, which kind of made up for the art at some points. But overall, this was a fantastic issue. We get a tale of the old Penguin with an old Bruce, where he's discovered his identity, and naturally Bruce is still a set ahead. And a really good futuristic tale, kind of set in the future, written by Geoff Johns with art by Kelly Jones, where it's literally a Bat family, where Bruce and Selina have married, had a daughter, and a new Robin. Or a Robin. I think it might be Damien still. But yes, some beautiful art. If you read the Batman King of Fear arc, you'd be very familiar with the art style in that. And this is just absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, I can't fault this. Can we please, while we're at it, get Joelle Jones writing not writing a Bat book, but drawing a Bat book. Her writing on Catwoman is not that great, but her art in this suits Batman to a T. She does a story with Tom King, who's writing, and shares art duty with Peter J. Tomasi. And yeah, it's just sorry, Tony S. Daniels, not Peter J. Tomasi, Tony S. Daniels. And it just, she sets the tone so well, and I really want to see her do a Batman book. And compared to Tony's art, it blends really, really well. And yeah, I really liked this story. There's so much to break down and get through. You have some pinups in the fantastic Jason Fabok spread. I love this issue. Like, seriously, they've gone all out with this, as they deserve to. I ended up getting the second cover, another cover. They've got so many variants. There's like 80 variants for it, and 10 of the decades. So I got the Bruce Timm 1940s edition, or 1930s or 50s. 1940s, yeah, the 1940s edition. So good. I'm very impressed by this anniversary issue. They went to a lot more care than they did with Action Comics 1000. Yeah, this will be a hot item. Get it. It's out now at your local comic book store. And that's it for this video. A short video. We will be adding more comic reviews to make the videos longer. If you guys want that, give me some feedback on the video below in the comments. Let me know your favorite stories from Detective Comics 1000, what you're looking forward to going forward. Do you think the Arkham Knight is a good villain to have introduced to the DC Comics universe from the Arkham Knight game. So let me know, subscribe to our channel, follow our handles at Fortress Nerds, and feel free to chat to me about your comics nerdiness. I'm Trent, and as always, you're watching The Fortress.